Hello and welcome to the DIMP Digital Podcast. I'm your host Joe Appleyard and we are on session number 9. This time I'm joined by DIMP Digital newbie Tom Adcock. Tom, how you doing, mate?
I'm going good, mate. How are you?
Yes, very well, thanks. As you know, I like to start with a nickname, but to be honest, the nickname we've got for you, I don't really call it your face. It's sort of a more behind the back slag off, sort of zippy, because you look like that little bastard out of Rainbow. But normally to your face, I'm calling you Tom, aren't I?
Well, Pac-Man's another one. Heard that a few times.
Pac-Man, I forgot about Pac-Man. Yeah, because you come in with a tray of water, didn't you? And your mouth was bobbing up and... If you don't know what he looks like, he's a little bald chap, so he looks like Pac-Man anyway. He comes in with a tray of drinks, his mouth's going up and down, and it was just ridiculous. I completely forgot about Pac-Man. I'm so glad you pulled that one up.
Multiple names, mate.
Yeah, multiple talents as well.
Just Tom, though's fine if you want to go with that.
We'll just do Tom today. It is your debut on the show, so as always, I'd like to let you guys give yourself a bit of an introduction about what consoles, or if you're on PCs, what sort of gaming consoles you have, and also your preferences. So if you just want to go ahead and give us a little rundown of what you've got currently and what you're into.
So I've got access to all three next-gen consoles. I've got a PlayStation 4 and a Wii U, and my flatmate's got, weirdly, a PlayStation 4 and an Xbox One.
Yeah, big shot.
What am I into? I guess I've played pretty much all types of games over the years. Sort of bread and butter. I don't think they're RGPs. I think they're more like action-adventure. Zelda is the big one.
Yeah, you love
survival
that.
Horror type things, as you know.
Multiplayer, I mean, we've done a couple of co-op things, but you don't...
Yeah, I was into co-op a lot on the 360, but it's kind of died a death recently. I think just because none of my friends have upgraded to the same consoles, and it's kind of killed that off.
Yeah.
And I'm not really a fan of just jumping online with someone I don't know. I think that literally wipes all the fun out of something that can be brilliant.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Unless you're playing with someone you know, I've got very little interest in doing that myself. I mean, we've known each other, nearly 3 years now, haven't we?
Yeah.
I think we ended up working together, and although you called me Colin for the first week or so, we did manage to strike up a decent friendship that's still going today. And I think a lot of that, has to go down to gaming, really. I mean, yes, we used to chat about TV and films together, but it seems that every time we go for our little 8 beers catch-up, I'd say 80% of it's taken up by gaming chat. You've been knocking about a little bit longer than me. People do often say, they're like, oh, is he from the same generation of you? They're not saying we're the same age, because obviously no hair, my sort of good hairstyle, they know we're not in the same sort of bracket in terms of that, but they think you're sort of on the tail end of it.
I suppose it likes to consoles. I'm sort of like the next gen sort of current, and you're sort of like a pretender to the throne, probably like an Game Boy Advance or something. Yeah,
something like that. I mean, what I tend to find helpful with you is that you seem to fill in my memory gaps from the 90s, because I mean, you often say sometimes I know a bit too much and I'm a bit old for my time, but obviously if you do the research that I have, the rewards are obvious. You've got, I'd say you've got the best brain for the podcast that we've had on here. You've been knocking around a bit longer. If you've played games most of your gaming life, to help give people a bit of a perspective, what's your earliest gaming memory, taking it back?
I don't even know what console. It wasn't a console. It would have been
Spectrum or something.
No, before that, I think it was an Amstrad.
Sugar.
I can't remember the model. Yeah. Sugar down in Shoebury Nest sort of powered that up. I remember my dad bought it. He worked in Saudi Arabia for like 6 years. And we hadn't seen him in 6 months, and he come home with an Amstrad. I can't think of the model name, but yeah. And weirdly, it was in our bathroom, so that's the place for an Amstrad.
That says all you need to know about the Adcock family. Then Amstrad sitting there in the bathroom.
So I would say probably there was games on it. I think Chucky Egg and Ghosts and Goblins, perhaps.
Yeah.
But I would have been like 5 or 6 then, so it would definitely have been sitting on my brother's lap, probably.
Yeah,
fucking up his game. But I do remember it. Yeah, I remember definitely loading the games up on tape and cracking on with them.
When was it when you started getting into it and it became almost like a hobby as a way to kill time? Was it when the NES come out, that sort of period, or was it slightly before that? Slightly
before. So my brother-in-law gave us a Commodore 16.
Jesus.
It had like a stack. I'm not even joking. Probably about 400 games. And as a kid, you've just got nothing but time. And I would just me and my friends would randomly put on a tape and find a game. We might play that solidly for like 3 or 4 weeks and then bin it off and another one. And there were some classics on there. I remember one called Treasure Island and Icicle Works was another absolute gem.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was the start of it then, and ever since then we've always had some sort of console or computer in the house.
Excellent. I mean, from then until now, the industry's changed immensely, hasn't it? Not just in terms of the technology, but I think in terms of how popular and how big a business it is now. It's a proper entertainment sort of outlet. If you could pick one moment from the start up until this now, what moment really wowed you when you was playing a game? Was it the Ocarina of Time, the 3D Explorer, or was it an earlier memory or slightly more recent? What's the big moment for you where you thought, Jesus, that is really impressive?
Yeah, no, it is probably Ocarina of Time. I mean, I was a fan of Zelda before that. I remember playing I played the original ones. I didn't think much of them, to be honest. And then a friend showed me Link to the Past on the SNES, and I remember thinking, Christ, this is pretty cool. Went out and bought it myself the next day, loved it. And I don't know what the wait was between those two games, but I think maybe like 5 or 6 years. It was a long time.
Yeah.
And it was a jump up in generation from 2D to 3D like graphics, which was pretty big at the time. And being probably my favourite franchise even then, I was really geared up for it. And I remember like doing a bit of a Craig and taking I can't remember now, maybe 3 or 4 days off work. Like he came out on a Friday, and I was like, I might have even had the whole next week off, and getting it on the Friday and literally just playing nothing else like the whole week. And just, everything about it was just, I suppose, revolutionary at the time, because it was familiar setting, because I suppose the only other game that was 3D and decent before that was the Super Mario Brothers on the same console.
Yeah.
All the mechanics were confusing. You didn't know how the puzzles worked because you'd never done it in 3D. It was just, everything about it was just so ahead of its time. It was, the storyline, the graphics, the controls. Like, it had this, I don't know if you remember the N64 pad, but it had this the Z trigger at the back. Yeah. And it's like a targeting system. It's, basic as now, but back then it was just so clever, the way you could just lock onto an enemy and then just dance around him. And it's amazing. Everything about that game, I think, even like yourself, never played it, but you keep bringing it up. You get it just resonates with people as one of the best.
Oh yeah, I've mentioned I've borrowed your Nintendo 3DS to go back and play it on that format, and I'm looking forward to doing that. It is a game. Everyone goes on about the best game of all time. It always seems to come up. But yeah, you've picked that as your big wow moment. I can't say I could disagree with that. I mean, people grow up these days. You think of what they've got now. There's going to be people growing up with VR, virtual reality, perhaps, if the Morpheus and the project, what was I can't remember what everyone's called now.
Oculus thing.
Oculus Rift, that all takes off. Just imagine there's going to be kids growing up with that as their first impact. That's going to be a game changer if that kicks off. But
imagine that with online with all your friends. Yes. Just some of the I've never played Alien Isolation, but I hear that's amazing with that. Yeah. Like something like that with all your friends that you can look around and sort of see. Like Joey Apps' potato head next to me, you can't even fathom it.
No. You must look back and think where you started with your little Amstrad, and look now and think, Jesus Christ, what has happened? Yeah,
you know what? Sometimes I think of really old games. I remember this one called Myth, because I like my I think that's why it's Zelda. I like dragons and Game of Thrones and mythology, Greek
fantasy
stuff, and anything like that.
That's not realistic, so that you can you haven't got to be bored of real problems. You've got different. It's something you can't do in real life. You can't swing a sword at someone, can you, or fire a bow and arrow? So
exactly, yeah. I guess, yeah. I mean, as much as I love GTA's and ultra realism to a point, I think I'll always stick with taking me out of reality. Just drop me in a field with a horse and a sword. I'm like, right, I'm happy with this, but. I remember playing this game Myth years ago, and I sometimes think about it because it's one of those games I dug out on tape and played for a bit. Yeah. And I've tried Googling it since, and I can find a little bit of information here and there. But you was going into tombs and dungeons and fighting Medusa, and it's weird because even though now they could do that I guess to almost photorealism. The imagination of those old games, as a kid, you're looking at it and you're thinking, I am in that dungeon, and it looks amazing. And I don't know, sometimes less is more. Do you know what I mean? I think there's still a place definitely for, a lot of these simpler games, especially these, I wouldn't say not retro games, what are they called? The indie games. Yeah. I see a lot of them now with purposely scaled back graphics. And
they've not got the big budgets and they're not throwing realistic graphics, but the imagination, the gameplay, and the mechanics is what draws you in because you're sitting there playing at the end of the day.
Absolutely, yeah, exactly. If the gameplay's right, I think still now in 2015, the graphics, although they are really important, they're not as important as the gameplay, like standard.
No, I think that I'll totally agree with that. Let's crack on to sort of the main course. You've been on a bit of a gaming tear over the last sort of 12 to 18 months. As you mentioned, you've got access to all three of the big consoles, and you've been putting some good hours in. A lot of those hours have actually been on the Wii U. Now, as you know, Josh, he's got a Wii U, and he's on the bi-weekly version of the podcast. He's got one, but he's not, to his own admission, he's not played it as much as he probably should have. You, on the other hand, you've managed to get through Donkey Kong, Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, New Super Mario, all good games, and then most recently also Bayonetta 2. Let's start with Bayonetta 2. It's fresh in your mind. It's getting great critical reception. What's Tom's opinion of Bayonetta 2? Because you've literally just finished it the other day, haven't you?
Yeah, it's... I wouldn't even know where to start, mate. It's like nothing I've ever played before.
Did you play the first one?
No. I remember seeing the box art, like the box for the 360, but it was at a time when I wasn't really playing games. And to be honest, I don't think it's something I would have picked up. The difference is this time is, one, the Wii U's got about 10 games on it anyway, so I've pretty much got them all. And I'm actually making it a conscious effort to buy like all the first, and again, there pretty much only is first and second party games on the Wii U.
Yeah.
But I want to make it the first console. I've pretty much got every game that comes out. I feel like it's a really realistic aim with the Wii U, and they all should be of a pretty high standard, I would think.
Yeah,
at least they've started that way.
Yeah, I mean, Bayonetta itself probably wasn't going to get made until Nintendo stepped in and helped finance it. So
I read this. Yeah, I mean, I think the first one got great critical reviews, but I don't think it's sold a lot. And I think I don't know how it's sold on the Wii U. I guess similar, maybe. I guess.
Well, I don't think many people have got the Wii U.
No, but I would say that more people have, the overall user base, I would think, only because I looked at the special editions and both were sold out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I don't know how many they printed. It could have been 12.
Four in the world.
Yeah, but so it's. I would say it. How to describe it?
It looks like complete madness when you're watching it, but you've assured me that once you actually sit there playing it, everything just clicks and it's just great fun to play.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know, I read exactly the same thing in a review recently. So if you were to walk in when someone's playing this game, it literally looks like someone's shitting on the TV screen. It's a mess of colour and like craziness. Like it's like you fight a boss every like 3 minutes. It's great. Like gameplay wise, like I would almost say like a arcadey hack and slash, but
Devil May Cry type, that sort of area.
Devil May Cry is a more arcadey feel for that. I mean, I hated those games, to be honest. I don't even know what kind of reviews they got. I remember buying one on the PlayStation 2 and just thinking, right, what is this shit? Binning it off. So it was Capcom, wasn't it? And I thought, Resident Evil, I thought this would be decent, but no, it wasn't.
I think one of the early concept arts for Resi 4 ended up being Devil May Cry in the end.
I've heard that, and like fighting ghosts or puppets or something.
Yeah, but
a bit
weird.
Bayonetta, it plays like a dream, to be honest. The control mechanisms are like out of this world. So
using the gamepad for that, the big chunky bastard.
which is it's probably not the best thing in the world, but it's comfortable enough. It's light, and so you can. It's like a standard kind of, third person game now where you can upgrade your moves and basically you can chain together combo after combo after combo. And it's very, very simple. Like me and my flatmate completed it, I wouldn't say it was hard, like probably the easy side of medium. Yeah. But apparently, I mean, I'm as you say, tearing through games, so I've got a big backlog and I haven't got much time to get through them.
So you're powering through them.
Yeah, but I read that apparently, like, easy to pick up, like, very difficult to master this game. And if you do master it, though, and you want to sort of get up the leaderboards on the internet for, like, beating levels without taking a bit of damage, like, some of the moves apparently are outstanding. And then the main sort of feature of this, if you dodge someone at the last minute, you act this witch time, which is your pretty much standard slow motion thing. But then what you can do is take a second to check where all the enemies are on the screen and then just link together another 55 hit combo. Yeah. And I mean, imagine
doing things like that's quite satisfying. It's sort of quite good gratification linking these big combos together, and it's not, you're not under real sort of no scares or anything. It just, you can sit down and play it and blast through, and it's just an entertaining piece of, you know, software, really.
Yeah, mate. It just literally, it just jumps you from one set piece to another. So there's like you start a level. There's not really, you know, messing about with any little minions. It's just, right, here's your setup for the level. Here's like 5 little guys to fight. Oh, here comes the first boss, the second boss, the third boss. And I mean, these things are just, you know, 30 times the size of the screen. And the graphics are decent, I would say. I mean, of course the Wii U's not as good as the other consoles, but it's a noticeable step up from the old generation, in my opinion. It does look very, very, very nice. Well, moves really good. Like, I don't know what the frame rate is, but
no. I mean, I think that's important that it looks better than the last gen, because there's lots of people throwing shit at the Wii U saying it doesn't even look as good as the 360, which I don't think's quite clearly the case. Just sort of getting off of Bayonetta 2. It's not really a typical. I know it's not a direct Nintendo release, but for an exclusive, it's not sort of a family-friendly type game, is it? It's quite a lot of innuendos and whatnot.
Mate,
she seems like a bit of a slag in it, and you know,
she's sliding it up left, right, and centre, mate. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, but is that going to draw the crowd that they've got? I mean, obviously you've gone out and bought it, but is their audience just for, like, obviously Donkey Kong, Mario Kart, Smash Bros? These are all kid-friendly family games. Bayonetta is a bit out there. Just does it fit with their current sort of audience?
No, exactly. They've shot themselves in the foot years ago, mate, and I can't see, to be honest, especially not with this console and this generation, they've got no chance of getting that back. I'm a massive Nintendo fan, but they do frustrate me with like some of the things they do. I know you kind of are the opposite almost. Like beginning of last year, you were telling me they were dead in the water, and then 12 months later, you're saying you're kind of like interested. The fact they're doing their own thing and stuff, which I get, but then, you know, 10 years ago, I don't know, maybe a bit longer, they were the number one, really. Then they kind of fucked up with the PlayStation. They just, I mean,
did they do that though, or was it because, you know, the gaming suddenly became big in a casual market, whereby the type of, I think if you still go back to the hardcore gamers and the gamers, they will always love Nintendo for what they've done previously and what they can produce, whereas now there's Bob up the road playing FIFA and Call of Duty every weekend. That's all he plays, and that's not really what Nintendo's ever really done. It's just, I just think it's still got a place in there, and the mainstream fans, if you will, are not going to take notice of it. But that's not a bad thing. You know, they're offering an alternative to that type of game.
The thing is, I mean, I think it all went wrong, like, in that PlayStation era. I think the story goes they signed Sony up to build them a CD drive for the new console, then bin them off. Sony went on to make the PlayStation out of the work they'd done. Nintendo, being like the old dogs they are, stuck with cartridges, which
probably set
then were like, I think they're like much more expensive to like make the games on. Obviously don't hold as much storage. It just set them back, and then PlayStation was pumping out 1,000 games to every one of Nintendo's. You know, the third party guys didn't really want to invest in it because it was costing them a lot more. And I think they've just been on a downward spiral since then. I mean, I get what they've done with the Wii. It was clever in principle, because I think I would say the GameCube was their last console they had that was equal to the power of the competition. I think that was as powerful thereabouts as the PS2 and the Xbox original. And that they didn't get anywhere with that. That kind of died a death. Like all the exclusives they had, like the Resis and stuff, ended up getting ported over to the other consoles anyway. Capcom were livid with the sort of numbers they were selling. Yeah. And so they sort of took a punt on not took a punt, but they done something different with the Wii. Fair enough. And I think you said it the other week when, you know, you could go 1 in 10 houses in the UK has probably got a Wii. Exactly. But then you like go, right, what have you got for that? And
Wii Fit.
9 out of 10, Wii Fit and Wii Sports.
Good games, mate.
Yeah, well, yeah. Oh, I'm level 12. I'm age 67 because I haven't gone on it for 2 days. Ridiculous. Yeah. And I think, you know, and this is my point, I've always had a Nintendo console alongside with, you know, another generation console as well, the Mega Drive, the PS2, PS1, Xbox 360. But, I mean, the Wii was I don't really care. I played the games I wanted, I played some Zeldas, and I think that's pretty much it. But I think a lot of people felt like it was a bit of a slap in the face that, you know, everything was going down the or Dance
Mass
Dance,
market,
and just absolute shit for like Joe Bloggs and his family to play once on Christmas Eve and go, oh, this is brilliant. And they did get like some of the franchise ones out, but I think they really they
concentrated more on the mass. I think they saw the success of what a casual market can bring financially, went down that route, and to be fair for them, financially that's paid off massively, because I believe it's one of the highest selling consoles there ever is, and Wii Sports, and that's, as I said, it's in 1 in 10 houses, everyone's got one. But I think you've raised a good point in the fact that the people that had stuck by and that had got the GameCube when it probably sold not as well as it probably deserved to, and they'd had the Nintendo 64, they'd had the NES, the SNES, they weren't then focusing on those guys, they were ignoring them for these Just Dance, Wii Sports, Wii Fit, all that rubbish. And I can see why a lot of people got switched off from the Wii. But I actually think the Wii U this year has turned a corner and gone back to catering for its gamers games, because there's not really many, there's hardly any third party support, so you don't get the sort of mainstream games there, and they're solely relying on their second party and their first party products. And you've got Donkey Kong, I mean you've played through that, you enjoyed that one.
It's brilliant, but the thing is, it's Donkey Kong, Mario, they're all great games, but are they, like, for me, because I've grown up with them, I love them and I'll always go back to them and go, yeah, it's a good challenge. I look at it, it's a decent game regardless of if I'm playing as some black gangster or a fucking monkey with a tie on, I'll play anything. But I don't know, like you said, Danny down the street who's playing FIFA and COD, he's not gonna go, oh, Donkey Kong, it's got Diddy Kong in it and Grandpa Kong. He don't give a shit, doesn't know who they are, so I feel like in that, well, I don't know. Is
that an issue? Is that a problem though? They're ignoring those masses and just developing games that they feel.
Oh no! I feel like that's their only play at the moment. I don't know how much games cost to produce now, but it's millions, isn't it? You can't be gambling on going, oh, we'll release this new sort of like dinosaur character and see if he sells well. You stick with your big guns, and I mean I think you're right. I agree with you totally. I think they've done the right thing with the Wii U. This time last year, everyone was saying.
I was saying,
Nintendo have got 6 months and they're going under. I think it was a real serious concern for a lot of people that they were going to become, just a
obsolete
developer only. Which, I mean, to be fair, for a lot of people, that would actually be quite a good thing. I think to see Zelda on PS4 or whatever could be amazing. But they have turned it around in that respect, and I feel like they are now paying massive fan service with the games that are coming out. They're going above and beyond, the special editions of every kind of big game. They're throwing in like tons and tons of content, kind of breaking their own sort of old outdated rules. I think Link's appeared in Mario Kart.
Yeah, they've crossed
the first
over, aren't they?
Non-Mario character to go in. Yeah, so and there's tons of stuff. Like Bayonetta's got like costumes from Link and Mario and all sorts. So it's only little things, but every single game seems to have a level of fan service in it. I think they're really, really going overboard, which obviously is not a bad thing. Hopefully, they keep it. It looks like they've turned a corner somewhat, and it's not going to, I'm sure it's not going to make a dent in anyone else's numbers, but as long as it can last the sort of 5-6 years of this generation, then maybe, I don't know what, I spoke to my flatmate about this and I said, what I think they should do, probably won't do it, well, sure they won't do it, but is get the next console out early again, make sure it's up to spec. It's got to be as good, if not better, than the others. They've got to realise that. Yeah, it can't be behind them again. That's the. Don't mess about with any normal controller. Don't fuck around with pointy things or screens on it. This is what annoys me is that Wii U controller. I mean, it's got a HD screen. I mean, that must cost a lot of money to manufacture. Is it? No, exactly. It's not been used at all. They keep going, oh, Star Fox, you can see your cockpit. No one cares. I'm sure Star Fox is going to be a good game and I'm going to love it. But that extra bit, it's not worth that. How much they paid into that per unit? Yeah. Couldn't they put that into the processing power? I don't know, pumped up the sort of graphics. Do the things that people, unfortunately, people do care about these things. Yeah. And then don't mess about with cartridges or fucking GameCube half-size discs. Just have normal Blu-ray discs, ones that everyone can use and everyone can produce on. And they need to court the third parties, obviously. And then maybe go in reverse. This is the main thing I thought, is that because even though there are games like Bayonetta, and even historically there has been adult games on Nintendo consoles, which I think a lot of people don't even think exists, because most people, if you got your PlayStation, you got your Xbox, they're not they're not looking at what's on the Nintendo. They're not going, what's on the new chart. They don't care. And there has been adult games, but I feel like now they should sort of advertise the facts, like have a mature games line, launch it with like a really good either third party exclusive or a first party new IP that is clearly adult, clearly that way inclined. Throw a Mario in as well, sell it for a cheap price and say, look guys, 'cause I think people are fickle. This is the thing.
Yeah, they will just change.
Yeah, I mean, I've jumped from PlayStation 2 to Xbox 360 back to PS4, and I think you've done similar. Like, people will go with like what is best. I don't think they're, I think the key thing is what your friends do now with the online thing as well. You need someone to sort of man up and go, right, I've sort of invested in this, get involved. But I think that's it. Other than people don't care, like they'll go whichever way. It needs to have because that's the other thing. Nintendo are lagging behind even in the online world. Really, they've kind of only just got up to
scratch of what
basics,
was in the last gen.
And mate, I wouldn't even say it was that good. It's like a pain in the arse, like friending people and
got your Mii character though, haven't you?
Who wants that?
Well,
again, have the option. Have like
have that, and then an adult avatar, sort of badass with a gun in his hand.
Well, just don't have one. Do I need a little
just don't have one? That's probably I mean, the way I look at it is that they are offering an alternative to what's out there, and I think that can only be good, either good for new ideas to come through, or good for people that don't necessarily want to play whatever on the big consoles, or people that think, I don't want to sell out and buy Microsoft or Sony's product. I want to stick with Nintendo. And I think this year they've turned it around. I don't know. They've got Zelda in the pipeline next year. Well, this year currently is 2015 now, so that's due to drop this year. Apart from that, though, I'm just a bit worried that this strong 2014 they've had might just they've sort of might have blown their load, if you know what I mean.
They've got a few games. They've obviously got Zelda. They got the Star Fox one, which is a big first party franchise. That's definitely coming out this year, so they say. You got that Mario Maker thing, which I think you can download that on like any internet site for the last 12 years, but I'm sure Nintendo's version will be more polished and it'll be pretty decent. There is a few games. I think they've got like they've got that Splatoon or something. It's like their version of like a first person shooter, which I mean,
it's like paintballing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it would be good, but make a rival to those games. Don't make it for like 6-year-olds.
Nah, I mean, it's a tough one, isn't it? I think they've had a good year, and if I had the time to sit there and play all three consoles, I'd definitely buy one 1,000,000%. I think it's got great value for what the price you're paying now, but it's just time now. I just think, could I be playing new Super Mario, or should I play through Far Cry 4? It's for me, it's just a tough decision. I can't warrant buying one because I probably would only play it once a month, if that.
Thing is, I don't know what they're retailing at now, but I reckon there's a price they could go to, because I know they're one of the only developers that always make money on consoles sold. Because I think a lot of people take a loss. And they've always had that business model where it's like, no, this will make us profit. So I think knock it down. I mean, I don't know what they're going at now. 190 maybe.
Yeah, I've seen them for 160, 180. Well,
do you know what? Like, sell them for 100. Stick a couple of games. I mean, they gave away a free game with Mario Kart. Like, make it that everyone who's got one of the next gen big
can
two
just afford to pick this up.
Like, it's a night out. You go down to a casino. You go down to the pub. Or you get a Wii.
If you're
with
going down to
two.
the casino, you're making money. So
I've lost more than I have over the times. But my point is that you said give them a console and 2 top class games, £100.
Boom.
I think most people who consider themselves gamers would find that hard to turn down. I think like you said, there's enough games on there. I think, and once you played, what was that thing when they were jumping around on streets and stuff?
Sunset Overdrive.
Right, yeah, and I think, I don't know.
Why does no one remember that name? Logan had the same problem.
Well, this is the thing. I looked at it before I came on this show just to sort of, well, I instantly forgot the name like 10 minutes ago. But I just wanted to know, I'm trying to find out what sort of numbers it shifted, because my point I was trying to make was that, you love that game. Game of the year for you?
It was my most favourite game of last year.
Most people, I don't know what sort of numbers it shifted, but I've never heard anyone else mention it. And it probably didn't sell well, and there probably won't be a sequel now. And the thing is, I feel like if you can get someone to play a game, they will convert. They'll be like, you know what, I had a lot of fun playing that. That is actually better than the last, Call of Duty that I've played like for the last 8 years.
Yeah.
You've just got to win them over, or get them to play it, and then that will win them over. So, I think I get what you're saying, and I would, wouldn't force you to get one, obviously, but I think once you started investing time in it, you'd be like, you know what, it is on par. I'd say the top.
I'll tell you what, if when Zelda comes out and if it's getting real good reviews, then that might be the tipping point. But until then, I mean, to be honest, Bayonetta 2 does look like it's not going to be the same as Sunset Overdrive, but it's one of those games. It's a gamer's game, and I think that's where I'd get my sort of enjoyment out of it. I'm not too much into Diddy and Donkey Kong, and Mario's a good boy, but he's got to be pushing 50, 60 now. I don't know, he's still at it. It's something that I'll definitely consider, but I think the Wii U's had a good year, and I'm hoping that it just sort of they get back on track and stay on track, and we get some more good games out of them. I think that's a good place to draw the Wii and Nintendo to a close, that discussion. You mentioned it earlier, one of your favourite genres of gaming is survival horrors, and I feel like we've had a bit of a resurgence over the last 18 months. We've had Alien Isolation, Outlast, PT, great game in my opinion, even though it's a demo, The Evil Within. You've had a little go at Outlast and PT, but you've actually gone through the entire campaign of The Evil Within. There's quite a bit of hype for this one. Shinji Mikami, who's the brainchild of the Resident Evil series and pretty much started the survival horror sort of genre, seemed to be going back and return to his roots almost to tackle this particular game again. Obviously, without spoiling anything, you've had to play through it all. I got the feeling it didn't quite live up to what you was expecting. Can you just sort of tell us your thoughts on the game, really, and what you liked, didn't like?
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. I was sort of really geared up for it, sort of expecting a midnight launch, same as Resi 6. That sort of didn't happen. So I think I don't know how many people bought it. I bought it, and I was really excited. And it's really average, if I'm honest.
Is it though?
Yeah, the reviews are good.
What's so average? I mean, it seems to me.
Right, I don't like the setting. Like, I like a game that I like a sort of I don't mean obviously not going to have an open world survival horror, but I like a fully connected like environment, or at least the sort of the feeling that it's connected. Like in Last of Us, where it is very linear. You're forced to go down a path, but you can look left, and you can almost believe that you could walk down those rocks over to another part of the city. I like that. In this, it's the opposite. You're really hemmed in, and not only that, it's like I'm not going to spoil it, but due to certain actions throughout the game, you'll be walking through a field, then all of a sudden you'll appear in like a castle, and then 5 minutes later you'll be in a sewers. Like it's just very not connected at all. It annoyed me, kind of, that sort of play. Like the main character is just.
I've heard the character's shit.
Oh, he's shit, mate. Yeah. Just bog standard, like cop. Worst chat ever. Like, just doesn't. He kills like a 60-foot monster with 9 heads, and like just meets his mate. Doesn't even mention it. And it's just like, come on, mate.
You'd be really giving that some weeks.
Just something. And I know these are kind of getting real. I saw a preview of Uncharted 4, and that was like ultra realistic. Really, it's like saying the water's cold and.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way it's got to go. Like, this was like the dialogue in it felt like 15 years out of date. It was ridiculous.
Well, I think that's partly to, I don't know, you look at Resident Evil's dialogue.
Oh, mate, it's shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a bit of a translation issue, slightly, with how they tell stories, the Japanese developers and whatnot. And it's, like I said, it's got Shinji Mikami who's sort of led this one up, so it's going to be his vision of what a game should be. So it's going down that sort of Japanese roots. I think that doesn't always translate well into Western society and how we portray our storytelling. I mean, it looked like to me that it would stack up. It wasn't like old school Resi. It's Resident Evil 4. It seemed like a much more comparable game, and that again is it's not on that level, is it? From what you said, you're not obviously never going to.
It's another thing, isn't it? I think Resident Evil 4 at the time was groundbreaking. Play it now, like you have to stop to shoot, and
I tried.
All the mechanics are just out of date. And this obviously is better. It plays better than that, but still, there's like big sort of problems that are easy fixes. The guy like takes up too much of the screen. He'll block a lot of the action.
Is it right on top of him then, the camera? Is it just...
no, it's over the shoulder, but he kind of just, he's just too big. He's not a fat bastard, but they've just zoomed him in a bit too much.
Yeah.
It's hard, which I like, but it's hard because it's frustrating. It's... the loading times are too long. The
things like that annoy me loading times. That really bothers me. I mean, that
the auto saving just isn't quite right either, so you'll have to retread bits, and it's things like that just are such easy fixes, and it drives me mad because you could easily bring the game up at least a point and a half by fixing those things. It's got I think 15 missions, and I'd say a third of them are very good, a third of them are terrible, and a third are somewhere in the middle, which... Yeah. I don't know. Is that worth 40 quid of your money? It depends how much you like survival horror. I mean, I haven't played it.
You haven't played one for a long time, so is it?
Yeah.
Has it lost its... Does it still work, survival horror?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, the other ones, I know I haven't played Alien Isolation, but I hear good things. Good. And the Outlast one, I know I haven't actually... I've only had one playthrough of it, but my nephew was playing the DLC on it. He loves it. He's a big sort of survival horror fan as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it definitely does have a place.
What about PT? I mean, you played through... Well, the puzzles were impossible.
Yeah, but the atmosphere was amazing.
Yeah, the first 15 minutes of that is...
It's not... I mean, that's not survival horror. That's just terrifying yourself, really.
Well, if the whole game's like that, that is going to be awful to play for. I'm not even sure if that's still board as entertainment. Do you know what I mean? It gets to that point where you think this is just disturbing and unsettling. I'm not enjoying this.
Yeah, I totally agree. You wouldn't want too many segments of a game like that. Jesus Christ.
Powerful, though. It's really well done. It's certainly...
Well, it's that less is more thing again, isn't it? I mean, what did you see? A little fetus in a tub and like one ghost, but just noises. It's all you need. I mean, Resident Evil had the most ridiculous monsters ever as well. So I'm not going to
Jesus.
Oh, mate, that's ludicrous. But even Resi 1 had some kind of crazy ones in it, even though it's a lot more sort of scaled down. Yeah. So like Evil Within is... Thing is as well, I don't think you can beat zombies. Like, I know you can't keep having zombies, but if I don't know. I played another Resident Evil on the 3DS I've lent you, and you've got these sort of like water-based enemies, and you're like, what is this? Give me The Walking Dead all day long.
Yeah,
and I think that's those sort of things. Just I get it why they make the changes. You've got, but that's the thing. I think we had this conversation off air that that people are getting bored with the sort of real nuts and bolts survival horror, so they kind of went more action orientated. It's gone too far that way, and they're kind of trying to find a happy medium now.
Would you even say the Evil Within's a survival horror? Is it more of an action game, or is it slightly? Because I know Resi's for pretty much action adventure. A lot of people will class it as that. Is this more that way, or more scaled back towards slow paced? Looks
wise and everything like that, Resident Evil 4, but then you've got very limited ammo.
Right.
Most enemies can kill you. There's a lot of like deciding whether to fight or flight kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it is definitely, the mechanics are more survival horror, but the settings and the look and the aesthetics and the controls are all more to the action sort of genre, I guess. So it is kind of in the middle, which maybe is what people want more of now. I don't know. I mean, because you can't go back to those sort of tank controls, but they gave the old game something in that, they put you in a tiny corridor with like 5 or 6 zombies, and the fact that you had to sort of turn on your heels to kind of get out of there, you'd be shitting yourself. So it's an average game. Like, I mean, I got myself through it in the end. I enjoyed a few levels and basically didn't enjoy the rest.
Could it have been done with just shortening a little bit? Do you think that would have helped it, or still too long? Because I remember you going to me, he's going, I'm mission 10 out of 15, I'm smashing this, and then you just seem to get... I know you got stuck on one bit.
I got stuck on a couple of bits, That's the thing, because I kind of go with the gung-ho approach, which probably not the best when you've got to fight a boss with like 3 rounds of ammo and no health, so that will cost you. Sort of had to listen to this German fellow online telling me how to do it like perfectly without getting hit, and it cost me like 3 hours.
That's not what you need, is it?
I don't know, mate. It's probably about the right length. I think if you're good, you'd probably clear it in 12 hours. It took me 15 or 16.
Yeah. I think it's a good length. I mean, I'd rather have a longer game than a shorter game. You 2 hours and you go, that's 40 quid well spent.
Yeah, maybe they are just better suited. Sure, I don't know how long that Outlast was, but I know you kind of raved about that.
5 hours, I think it took in the end, but it was so basic. But I said in my review, it just worked. Like there was no, he's not trying to be pretentious with anything. It was just like, look, you've got no weapons.
you've
got no choice but to run and hide and hope that they don't find you.
Do you know what? It's a good comparison. The early levels on the Evil Within have a lot of the hiding mechanics. You go under a bed and you're quite weak at that. Well, you're very weak. You've got a handgun at that point, so you need to do it. But they kind of really quickly just drop the entire mechanic, and it's kind of weird. It's like they just threw it in and then went, nah, we'll just sort of bin that off later on, and it feels kind of, I don't know, like a bit kind of topsy-turvy. Like it doesn't really connect together very well. It doesn't know what it wants to be. I think
maybe they were just scared of having the same mechanic of hiding all the way through. They probably thought, right, let's give them some weapons to start fighting back. But then there is that happy medium of whether you become too powerful, well, not even too powerful, but you sort of take away the tension because you think, well, I could probably just blow this bloke away. I mean, there's a certain problem with Alien Isolation.
I was going to say, I've heard this, yeah.
When you get the flamethrower,
you can just go, you all of a sudden lose the fear, don't you? You can just do it.
Yeah, because before, if he sees you, you're done for. That is game over. There's no other way of doing it. But with the flamethrower, it gives you a chance to flame him and it'll run off for a little while. And it would have worked fine if the ammo was really, really limited, but there was too much. Like, I was getting into a few scrapes and I was just being a bit careless and thinking, well, it doesn't really matter if I'm careless here because I'll just chuck this in his face and he'll bugger off. I don't know why. I guess it's to try and change up the mechanics, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you're not playing the same thing and you're not getting bored, but sometimes it just feels a little bit out of place. Having said that, really enjoyed Alien Isolation. I think you should try and pick that up, but I know obviously you've got games coming up your arse, so that's probably not going to be...
Well, I was add it to the list, mate.
Yeah, add it to the list, get them stacked up. Resi Remake, that'll be being dropped very soon over here in Europe. Resident Evil 1, they've given it a new control scheme, lick of paint. You can go back to the old tank control scheme as well. You're going to invest in that? I mean, it's one of your favourite games.
I've replayed it many times, mate. I probably will get it, 'cause is it like 20 quid?
Oh, yeah, it won't be much. Yeah,
no, yeah, I'll probably get it at that. But I've got it on the GameCube and it still pretty much holds up. I kind of end up playing it like once a year, once every couple of years. I love it. I think it's all the cliches. It's set in a mansion. It's, bog standard sort of B-movie horror, but it just works so well. I don't think it's ever really been bettered.
No.
And yeah, I mean, I've been trying to get you to play it, and I think, you know what, I say get it, play it with the shit tank controls.
Fuck that.
Only because I read a review of someone playing it, and he said with the new controls, it's easy. It kind of takes the sort of terror out of it, and that you can just kind of maneuver past these zombies a lot easier than you could when you were moving like a tank. 20 quid, mate. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot worse things you can spend your money on. It's decent, and then you can get through it and say, right, I've played that. It's probably the sort of main event in survival horror.
Yeah, that's done. That's in the books. Exactly. I'll definitely look at it when it comes out. I mean, I'm still sort of in two minds over whether I'll actually get time to play it, as it's quite a busy...
Mate, what are you doing with your time?
I've got a backlog of games to do it. No, Homeland. That's got to be sorted out. Because people started talking about it at work, and I was like, oh, God, I need to get this done. They already know sort of
Mate, it's passive. Watch it on the train. You've got these little devices now. Come on.
I'm listening to this over and over again, though. I'm just listening to myself, trying to find gaps to improve. But
no one else is, mate.
There's at least 4 people, so that's the sort of...
Rumble's in now as well, so he's kind of...
He's there looking on.
Yeah.
Wants to get involved. Before I let you go, I think this is probably you'll be the last person to get your say on this, but we've mentioned The Last of Us a couple of times. You've been around the block with your games. You've played them all. You've seen it all. How did this stack up as a modern game? Would it go down as one of the all-time greats?
Yeah, 100%. I think we spoke about it loads of times, haven't we?
Yeah.
I mean, when you were telling me about it before I played it, and you were going, well, it's kind of... It's good, it's kind of bog standard, but good story and that. And then I feel like it is a game just grows and grows and grows on you. There aren't many games I think about after I've done them. That is one. I talk about it a lot. I think about it a lot. I think the story is fantastic. The character, like compared to The Evil Within, Shadow and Mordor, like real generic protagonists that I don't care about. I cared about these guys. I liked them. Yeah. I want to know about them. It's fantastic. I mean, it doesn't do anything groundbreaking, but what it does better than anyone else has done it.
Yeah, so
really.
The story is very, very good, and that's a complete contrast to your sort of your roots, isn't it? Mario. I mean, he's saving a princess. Is all he's doing. The Mario games and a lot of the Nintendo stuff doesn't have that sort of hard hitting storyline. Is there a preference you have, or do you think it's just good to mix it up and have something that's it's almost like a film, isn't it? It's that well written that The Last of Us could easily be a film script, and it is going to be made into a film.
Yeah, I mean, just whatever keeps you playing, isn't it? With that, it's. I mean, I guess it's the I suppose with that it's the storyline. With Mario, it's playing a level, and just it's the same, feeling of fun. You kind of think, right, I've done that, I'm happy, sweet.
Yeah.
And it's just whatever compels you to go back to it, whether it's the story, the gameplay, playing with a friend. It's irrelevant as long as they get you coming back and you're enjoying what you're doing. You come
on podcasts and start talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I knock people go like, these people who just play FIFA and COD and that, what are they doing? But at the end of the day, if they're happy with it, and I suppose why would they kind of go elsewhere? They're getting, what they want from those games, and they keep making them every year and
keep getting bought.
They're loving it. They're going, sort of November, get my new one.
Yep, midnight release.
Done. Sort of standing queuing as they're loving it. No, that's the thing, and Last of Us is fantastic. I liked everything about it, and I played it a second time on PlayStation 4 and liked it probably even more, I would say.
Yeah, that's excellent. I mean, is it going to rank as one of your all-time best if you could ever sort of pull that list together? Would that be on there as a...
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, it'd get in a top 10 easy.
You don't get many of those these days, but I think it's such a good game. And again, this is probably the last time I'll mention it because this is now the third person I've had talking about it. If you have not played it, find a way to get The Last of Us and play through it. It really is fantastic. I thought we could finish up on a little-known game called This War of Mine, which you played whilst you was down under in Australia. I've seen a few trailers of it and heard people talk about it, but what's a quick 5 minutes just to finish up on. What did you think of it? It's a different take on the war genre for sure, isn't it?
Yeah, mate, it's a good game. I don't know how much it costs, but you're probably not going to play it for more than a week, I guess. Yeah. I don't think it has much replay value, but it's certainly different. It's like a 2D side-on.
Yeah,
I don't know what you'd call it, but basically, it's a day-night cycle. In the day, you're in your house. You can build beds. You can build like a cooker to cook on. You can board up the house from the weather. Basically, it's set in it's not a nuclear war. It's just a pretty
shitty old modern war.
Yeah, pretty hardcore war that's going on, and your aim is to last as many days as it takes for the war to end. I think it ends between day 20 and day 30.
Yeah, so you're a civilian. You're not a soldier. You're a
civilian.
Standard,
you start off with 3. You always start with 3 civilians. They'll randomly generate from like 20 or 30, from what I could work out. You'd have like a teacher, a famous footballer, and stuff like that. So they will wake up in the day they will get rest. They will get food, get drinks, try and stay alive. At night you have like a map, and you have like an option of it depends on what part of the game you're on, but between like 1 and 5 or 6 different places you can go to scavenge for goods. You can also trade goods, depends where you go. This is like where the main sort of bit of the game comes, because you'll go out and you'll go into like an abandoned church, but you'll come across some like thugs raping a woman. You've got nothing, most of the time you've literally got nothing. You might have a knife, or
you just have to leave it.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you risk. It's like a dilemma, moral choices of whether you're going to intervene. I guess there's going to be chance where you can steal stuff off people, that sort of thing. You've got to choose off your own. Yeah, I mean, that sounds like the sort of game I like. I like games with choices.
It's like really good. You could, and I don't know if it's on mobile devices and stuff, but it would work really well on that because it's great for like a half-hour blast. But so you've got all these like moral dilemmas, and you can't get away with anything. Like if you watch a girl get raped and she gets dragged into a shed, that's not the end of it. Your little man goes back home the next day and he's all like gets depression and sort of stresses out. And then it'll sort of cause problems within the group because he's exactly. And if you end up getting stabbed or even punched, you'll have to heal yourself over a number of days. It's very different, and very, very good.
Sounds very bleak and quite a a laughable game. It's a serious sort of story. So I don't know if I'd want to play that on my commute on the way in if it did come out onto mobile devices. But at the moment, it's out on PC only. I'm hoping they release some sort of console version of it. If not, I mean, I can pick it up on the PC. Same cause it was on my radar, but it just didn't quite make the grade last year. But,
I feel like it's something that could definitely work on, across the board and all devices. Yeah. It's not like, it's not pushing anything graphically.
No.
So yeah, I mean, I hope it does get ported across, because it's compared to some of the shit that gets released, it's definitely something unique and it works. It's good. I mean, I remember saying it to my family in Australia. I feel like if they'd done a second one, they could iron out a few of the faults. Like it needs maybe like the day and night cycle. It's good enough. It's just it's definitely has like a short life cycle, whether you complete it or not. If you die, the frustration of going straight back to day one, you're a bit like, come on, save point. I don't know. It kind of, and at the end of the day, there are only so many places you can go, and it does get a bit samey, whether someone's getting held up at gunpoint, knife point, or some sort of rape. It's all the same, really, isn't it? It's just
standard day in the
shit's going war. Down. Yeah, exactly. So it might be kind of fun, well, not fun, but interesting to see the shit going on to begin with. It can get a bit monotonous, I guess. But
okay, cool. And just sort of last minute or so, what are you looking forward to in the future? I mean, you've got a backlog of games. Is there anything on your radar that's going to pull you away from your current backlog to go out and buy, or are you going to stick with what you've currently got?
I think, I've got another like 7 or 8 games to get through now. I don't know what's coming out. I think Resi's coming out in January, but I mean, I ain't going to get that straight away. So, no, it's backlog. It is. I mean, I'd like
what's the next sort of backlog game?
So we're actually like going back at the moment, just finishing off Tomb Raider on the 360. Then it will probably be the Super Mario 3D World, and then GTA, I think, on PlayStation 4. So never completed a GTA, so sort of making that my mission to get through that.
To get that done. Okay. All right, it's a wrap. If you need to get in contact with us here at Dimp Digital, you can do using our Twitter handle, which is at Dimp Digital. We also have the Facebook page, so go over there and like us. And again, facebook.com/Dimp Digital. You can subscribe to this podcast on Stitcher, iTunes, and any other podcast outlet that you've got. And obviously the YouTube channel is on there as well, so you've got your reviews, you've got your Let's Plays, and all sorts of different video content on there. So just give us a search on YouTube, again, Dimp Digital, find us, subscribe us, get in contact with us and let us know what you think. But that's it, game over. It's goodbye from Tom.
See you later, mate.
And it's goodbye from me, Joe Appleyard. Thanks for your time, and ta-da. Podcast. That's what's the next, just before you get away.
No need though now, mate. It's done.
People want it back, though. They'll be like, oh,
this from Canada, mate. I'll sort of zip across the border and go, I've got the game early, so give you a preview.
But if it's released the same day,
which I'll still have it a bit.
You won't. We'll have it before midnight. I'll be up preloaded. Day zero. I'll have the day zero.
It's fucking. I'm behind.
You're behind, you idiot. You're not in Australia.
Shocking. Yeah, Australia's ahead, and it don't even matter. They don't get everything. No. They're the only region behind us.
God, you're meant to have travelled, and you're getting basic errors like that wrong.
Oh no, that is bad.
Lucky that's not on there. Jesus, that would have really stung you.
Yeah, get those sort of errors out now, mate. Yeah. I'm testing you, mate, seeing if you're in your game, right?
I thought
good. Yeah. Well, it was sort of.
Connection's gone.
Didn't you?
What's going on here?
So, yes.
Tom, I didn't hear any of that. It cut out. I don't know what you said. It went, and then and you went, so that's what I... Fucking hell. Are you moving or are you just sitting still?
No, I'm literally sitting still. Hang on, let me just... I can't sit any more still. I'm like an invalid. I'm like in bed, like sat up. You know when you prop yourself up on loads of pillows, like when you're ill. I haven't been ill since 1993, so I don't even know.
That's a lie.
Mate, it's the truth.
That is not... I'm not having that.
If anyone from is listening, I was ill this year, genuinely, so...
Jesus Christ.
You're not going to get me with that one, HR.